All right. So before we get started with the content, just a few housekeeping items. One, we are recording this session and we will be uploading this to our YouTube channel, which will also be posted up to the Infrascale mobile application, Infrascale Partner Central, so you can see that later. For questions and comments, feel free to use the question function at any point during the presentation. We'd love to hear any comments you have about the stuff we're saying, if you think we're wrong, if you think we're right. Also specifically any questions. We have a lot of stuff to get through here today, so I'm going to hand it over to Dean to get us going.
Thank you, Derek, and thanks everyone for making a little bit of time for us this morning or this afternoon, wherever you may be. So first of all, we do have a ton of stuff to get through, so we're going to move relatively quickly through the slides. So save those Q&As for the very end. And let's advance the slides. There we go. So there's a picture of me, this is a picture of Derek. I head up marketing. Derek handles all of our channel enablement. So he's your point person for any kind of co-marketing that we're going to do going forward, and you're going to hear more about that. So let's kind of quickly review the agenda. We're going to talk about the 2017 Gartner Magic Quadrant, which is not only important for us, but it's also important for you as our partners. Derek's going to cover some of the product updates that we have launching, as well as some co-marketing programs, and then we'll finish off with a new promotion that we're running for this summer, all around MDF, Market Development Funds. So with that, let's dive right in with our first poll question. So, are you currently reselling Infrascale Cloud Backup or Disaster Recovery? Just take a second to answer that. This will help me cater kind of our cadence a little bit based on the kind of partner you are.
Yeah, and for any of you who aren't yet partners, just choose the option of what is most attractive to you at the moment.
And while we wait for the results, this is going to be part of an ongoing series of webinars that Derek and I do each month for our partner base. So we've done this for a couple months now. We're going to continue this each month. So if you're looking to learn more about our solutions, more about our products, or how to sell them more effectively, or how to position them, that's the purpose of this meeting every time, as well as to alert you about any new product updates and new feature releases. Okay, so let's take a look at the results.
All right. So we have 22% with only cloud backup, 9% only disaster recovery, and 70% both, with 0% not sure. I think that's the first time we've had a 0% not sure. That's pretty great.
Cool. So a lot of the things we're going to be talking today are a little bit more DRaaS focused, but for the 22%, this may be interesting to you as well. Obviously, you have the opportunity to sell both of our solutions. So with that, let me just talk quickly about Infrascale, who we are, what we do. The reason I kind of want to repeat this each time we meet is just to reinforce our mission, and it helps frame everything that we talk about. So we believe that every modern company depends on data and operational uptime for their survival. There are no exceptions. This has been our mantra for a long time, and in the age of ransomware, it's becoming even more important. So the three use cases our solutions help protect is the mixed environments for your customers. We offer both cloud backup and disaster recovery as a service, and our solutions help protect against ransomware, whatever the strain. So again, most of you are familiar with this, but since there are some partners that only sell one solution or the other, I'll just quickly recap our solutions. Our cloud backup solution is a direct-to-cloud solution that involves no on-premise hardware. It's really optimized for your endpoints and branch offices, and now includes ransomware detection and alerting, which Derek will talk a little bit about that, something we call anomaly detection. Our disaster recovery solution is a hybrid solution, which means it involves a local appliance as well as the cloud. And the intent of disaster recovery is really to protect your mission-critical systems and your data, and always have a replica of that data in the system, in the cloud at all times. And what disaster recovery does is it allows you to spin up a VM, a virtual machine, or virtual machines in seconds. And we're actually now averaging about 70 seconds for failover, well below our 15-minute failover guarantee. And so, again, this is optimized for all those mission-critical apps. So we like to think of this as a data pyramid, starting from the endpoints and working our way up. So we'll animate all of this out. So the cloud backup solution is really intended to protect your remote offices and your endpoints, which is usually protected but not always. And the mission critical stuff, that's the stuff as partners you guys take care of. But luckily, this is why we have two solutions. Disaster recovery focuses on the mission critical stuff and the core data centers, while our cloud backup really is intended to protect your remote and branch offices and endpoints. Okay, so this is a traditional curve, and why don't you go ahead and animate it out, Derek? And so on the one end of the spectrum, you have tape backup, and you have cost running along the horizontal axis and recovery time on the vertical axis. And so typically when most people think about disaster recovery, they think of it in terms of these trade-offs between time and cost. So on one end, you have tape backup, which usually isn't all that expensive, but it can be really slow if you're looking to recover data, specifically if you're looking to recover applications and systems.
And one of the big differentiators between Infrascale and why we keep getting the accolades we're getting, which Dean will get into in a minute, is if you start with tape, cloud backup, and appliance backup, the big difference is that none of these solutions have a recovery environment as part of the plan. You know, with an appliance, you have a very limited amount of recovery space. It's good for tests, maybe individual machines or individual files, but it's not something you can do a full network on. When you go to cold site, DR, warm site, and hot site, those become extremely expensive because they're maintaining and making available a recovery environment. Because we're cloud experts and we build our own backend, we maintain that scalable recovery environment in our cloud, and that's why we're able to do it so affordably and with such power, is because it's our technology. It's not something that we have to rely on another team to do.
Great. So I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about the Gartner Magic Quadrant. So first of all, each year, to give you a little bit of background, Gartner is probably the largest analyst firm on the planet. They're not probably, they are the largest analyst firm when it comes to technology. So there are other players in the space like Forrester and IDC, but Gartner really is the big one. And each year they evaluate a lot of different technologies, and this includes the DRaaS as well. And so this is the second year that we were in the Magic Quadrant. Last year we were a visionary. This year we are a leader. And let me just tell you, this isn't really just about us. This is really intended to help you sell these solutions a little bit more effectively. So one of the benefits of Gartner is that they offer unbiased IT insights to the enterprise buyers. So their consumers are often your customers. So enterprise buyers go to Gartner to say, look, I'm looking to develop a short list of disaster recovery solutions. Who do you recommend? And then they will essentially send them the Magic Quadrant. The quadrant itself is just that. It's a 2x2 matrix, which I'll show you in a second. And on one axis, it shows how visionary is a solutions offering, and on the vertical axis it is what is their ability to execute. And so each quadrant has a name. The upper right is called leader, the lower right is called visionary, and then upper left is challenger, and then niche. Where you don't want to end up is in the niche quadrant. But the one thing that I should point out is that one of the things that Gartner makes mention in this report this year is that there were over 500 vendors now in the DRaaS space, which gives you a sense of how competitive the space is. It also gives you a sense of how fast the space is growing because it's attracting a lot of different players. They only included 24 this year that they thought were the best and the brightest. So with that, we'll show you kind of how well we did. So we ended up with just a total of 5 companies in that leaders quadrant, and this is a huge win for us. I guess we're second in terms of the degree to which we're visionary, only to IBM. And it should be pointed that those solutions that are to the north of us are probably 5 to 10x more expensive than our solutions. So the other thing that we like to point out is that there's been a clear evolution from 2015, where we were given the cool vendor status, and then last year we were a visionary, and then we've moved all the way to the upper right quadrant, where we're now considered a leader. So this is important for us, but it's also important for you, because what it means is that as your customers are developing shortlists, it's more likely that we're going to be in that consideration set than even we were last year. And so some of you may be selling potentially some other solutions. You can see how well they fared as well. And we wrote a pretty good blog post. Well, I wrote it, so it's marginal. It's a solid C, as Derek would say, that talks about the evolution of the Magic Quadrant and the evolution of specifically the Magic Quadrant for DRaaS, and compares and contrasts the performance of Infrascale last year and this year, as well as some of the other players. The other report that Gartner produces is what they call the Critical Capabilities Report. And this is, it's almost considered a compendium report. So the same set of vendors that they analyze, the same set of 24 vendors, they look at and they stack rank them. So the Magic Quadrant really isn't a stack ranking, though obviously you want to be as far right and as far north as you can possibly be. The critical capabilities actually is a stack ranking. And what they do is they look at 4 different use cases, and within each use case, they look at 15 different criteria. So the way they look at the world is the low complexity use case has a single data center, less than 75 instances or VMs, and you can read the rest. They're dealing with primarily market leading hypervisors, think VMware, and they're 100% virtualized. And then as you move your way from left to right, you go to medium complexity. Now you're starting to deal with more VMs that need to be protected, more targets, and all of a sudden the RTOs and RPOs get a little bit tighter, and then all the way up till you get to small enterprise and mid-enterprise. And so we were ranked first when it came to low complexity environments. We were ranked second just by a nose to medium complexity. And actually, even in the larger enterprises where you're dealing with more than 150 VMs, we were number 6, and number 6 even for mid-enterprise. So this is a huge win for us as a company, but it's also a huge win for you guys. And this is something, if you're in competitive situations, you will want to trot out these stats as well.
Yeah, and I would recommend, take a look at the blog post that Dean wrote, because it really does a great job. Because for the most part, when you hear a Gartner report, you think, oh, I don't serve enterprise, this isn't applicable to me. But the way that it's broken down really helps you understand the points at which you can say, okay, these are the things that make sense, these are the things that we can lead with. And it really does a great job of reinforcing that you're providing a market-leading service, and these are the reasons why. And it's not marketing, it's quite objective and defined.
Yeah, and the other point is most of the MSPs that we serve, most of their customer base is in that low complexity range. So you can have a little bit more confidence knowing that you're actually recommending what Gartner says is the best environment, the best draft solution for those low complexity environments. And the other thing I should also point out is if you're looking for a copy of the Gartner Magic Quadrant, you can get that right from our website, and you can you'll have access to that. We actually don't have the reprint rights to the Critical Capabilities Report, but if you're interested in more information about that report, just let us know in the Q&A, and we can send you what we can send you, but we're somewhat limited what we can actually send you.
All those fun licensing rules. Okay, so that takes us into product updates. So again, a lot to cover, so we're gonna hit it as best we can. A lot of the things that have led us to our accolades with Gartner are the things that we've been releasing in the first half of this year, and just recently, this last week, and as well as in the next 2 weeks, we have some major improvements upon a lot of those major features we did release in the first quarter, largely due to your feedback. So we love the feedback that you all have provided us, and we feel that you're a critical component of how we design services that are going to meet the needs of the market. So DRaaS orchestration, ConnectWise integration, furthering our Linux support by expanding to full support for Linux physical devices, as well as more operating systems. The Google Cloud Platform support, so that you have more flexibility in which cloud you can put the data, so that you don't have to be pigeonholed into using the Infrascale cloud if that's a problem. On top of anomaly detection, we now have added specific ransomware detection, and I'll talk about that, and then bare metal and local backup and where that's going. So first, drag and drop orchestration. This is probably one of the most impactful releases we've had as far as how you can add value to the service for your customers. What this means is that when you have a full site, there's a lot of complexity in it, and this is a way to simplify that. So rather than having to run through 10 different recoveries of your major servers, you hit one button and it'll boot all those machines in the order that you want them with the space in between. So what we mean is, in a typical environment, you have dependencies. It's not just a turn it on, turn it off. So what we do to try to save you time is, instead of you having to go through the domain controller recovery, DNS and Active Directory, and then loading up your secondary level of services like your app server, mail server, and database server, basically all the stuff that the employees consider to be the most important, which they are to them. And then you may need some time to run some scripts and other configurations, some runbooks to get those working nicely together before you can then do your final tertiary level servers, and then you plug in your users to end that downtime. Within our interface, you're actually given a way to properly document these dependencies in the order in which you want to do it, with the boot wait times in between that's applicable to your environment. Now, this is hugely impactful because, one, it means that doing a full site test recovery is now a very easy thing to do. Being able to very quickly test against specific cases, like with new threats of ransomware or new variants of ransomware or whatever intrusion it is that you're concerned about, allows you to give not only a more defined expectation to your customers, but allows you to give a expectation that you know you'll be able to hit. So, if you've had a hard time defining SLAs and expectations, and your customers are always surprised when you can't do certain things, this should help dramatically in that. One of the things we've done to put our money where our mouth is, again, this Cloud Boot histogram is a live web page on our website that you have access to, and there's a direct link just from within the Partner Central application, and I'll put a link so you can join that today if you haven't already. But the way that you read this is, in the web, when you mouse over one of these circles, it'll show you how many boots occurred at that particular day, and it'll give you the average boot time. So the way that you would read this big circle here is, I believe this is something like 55 boots, and the longest boot time we had was 2 minutes. Looks like we had one error here and one small one down here, so we're showing you everything. And the reason we're doing this is because we're serious about the level of quality and the reliability of the service, and you're not going to find this anywhere because we're the only ones that give this type of transparency. And we're the only ones that can give this transparency because, again, we own the back end. We wouldn't be doing this if we were using Amazon or Azure or some other cloud as our primary recovery environment, because we would have no control. We have the control, so we're showing you how it's working out, and it's working out pretty well. The impact to your managed services, I like to think of managed services in terms of the whole relationship, beginning with the first conversations in the consultation phase and then going through. Now, for the most part, it's the monitoring and management, which is where the bulk of your managed services are going to be defined, and that's because that's the simplest way to do it. But when you have the ability to do quick testing for very specific scenarios, it allows you to all of a sudden add this whole nother layer of managed services that is a constant evaluation and re-evaluation of services to your customers. So instead of becoming a IT kind of cost center, you really become a business asset. You become their CIO contracted, and this is what allows you to really get those managed services in place and make it so that your customers are winning while you're winning. To further explain what I mean, traditionally doing backup testing is a very expensive thing to do. The average of a full site recovery may be about $3,000 to $4,000 in man hours. With this, that no longer is true. It's now a very affordable thing to do, and in terms of the time and any hard costs involved. And so the benefit remains just as high, but now you can deliver it more regularly. So it moves away from being purely a CYA move, and it now becomes a focal point of the value that you're delivering. In terms of return on investment and the promotion that happens just organically through your organization, backup testing has a very low ROI because it has a high cost. The promotion of it is going to be relatively small because it's a lot of work involved and it's not very profitable. So most of your employees aren't going to be pushing to do regular backup testing. But now that you have an easy way with boot orchestration, this is a high ROI service, and that will be a natural promotion for everyone because one, it works so well, it works so quickly, and it's unbelievably convenient when you're trying to provide full protection for your customers. All right, ConnectWise integration. So ConnectWise is a very popular PSA system, and a lot of you use it. So we've done a lot of work over the years to get in there for support ticket integration. Earlier in this year, we added the ability to have more billing integration so that you can see in real time what your customers are using. Some of the additions we've made recently are some improvements around the workflows as far as how you can route the different tickets, as well as the information that's going into ConnectWise in terms of billing. So it now supports our appliance usage information, which before it was a little more general. Now you get much better and much more clear use case just from within ConnectWise. And the benefit here is really just to save you time. So removing your cost of ownership of carrying another service. Linux physical DRAS support and expanded Linux support to Debian 7 and 8 and Ubuntu 14.04. This just really speaks to our platform message of having a near ubiquitous operating system support. We really want to provide a full solution regardless of whether it's physical, virtual, Windows, Linux, Unix, and this just reinforces our commitment to doing that. So a lot of this came from you all saying, I need this, and here it is. So again, thank you for your feedback. It's really quite invaluable. One of the other cool things we've done on the disaster recovery part is we actually built in VNC access directly to the web interface. So the way it worked before is you would boot up a machine and you'd get the VNC information and then you would have to load up a separate client. And if you're just doing quick recovery verification, that's really kind of an unnecessary step. So we built this into the browser so that you can directly from your browser see first you see a live screenshot of the machine live. Then when you click to expand and open that, you actually get a larger screen preview to see that, yes, the machine is in fact working. And again, just another thing that we're doing is, time is money. We're talking about downtime, we're talking about total cost of ownership, and this is another step to reduce that cost so that the services you're providing are more valuable to you and your customers. And then I'm going to hand it over to Dean to walk us through the Google Cloud integration.
Great. So this is now a couple months old, but we just want to reiterate it again. So we've talked about our ability to send the data to either our data centers, which now number about 15 globally, as well as your data center if you have private data centers, or now increasingly third-party data centers like AWS, Azure, and now Google Cloud. And so this works for both our disaster recovery cloud backup as well as disaster recovery can now replicate to the Google Cloud. And this is especially powerful when it comes to the speed of failover. So let's talk a little bit more about that. So some of the unique benefits are, if you're already a Google partner, it allows you to offer additional Google services and leverage the Google Cloud in more ways to onboard potentially new customers. Google is making a big play in the data center space and in the cloud space, and so I think they're an up-and-comer. Obviously, they're a ways away from AWS, but they're betting on us, and we think that this is a powerful cloud, and we think it's also a little bit faster than some of the other clouds because of some of the technology they've built within their own data centers, teaming with us. It also allows you to expand your own global reach. So right now we have 15 data centers, and if you have customers that are international, the Google data centers expand that quite a bit. So there are some countries and some geographies that we don't currently cover, and that the Google Cloud does based on the location of those data centers. So it allows us to offer you some additional geographic coverage. And we also allows you to expand your own cloud services beyond potentially just backup. So now if you're just a backup customer, you can leverage the Google Cloud and our draft solution to potentially reach more and more clients. So what makes it a faster cloud? So we are averaging, as a company, we have the 15-minute guarantee for failover. Well, we have found that the average boot speeds when we boot up VMs within the Google Cloud is 40 to 50 seconds. So it's actually significantly faster than what we can do within Amazon. It does include local SSD. It's got low latency and responsiveness. And it also offers a higher level of scalability. So I talked about their data centers. Well, actually, there's a total of 75 global points of presence. And they also offer a broad operating system spanning all these various OSs that you see in the right-hand column. Derek, is there anything else that you would add to this in terms of the speed and the benefits of the Google Cloud for partners?
Yeah, and a lot of you have this conversation all the time with your customers, trying to separate, not all clouds are equal. We tried to do this with a couple of other cloud providers, Amazon being one that we did a lot of time, and we couldn't get anything close to the type of boot speeds we're getting with ourselves today, which is why we built our own backend. Google's the only other provider that we've worked with that gives not only an equal performance, but they're actually a little faster than us. So, Google Cloud, I think they're really doing it the right way. They're really focusing on speed and availability, and in ways that we're not seeing other providers. So, I think they have a pretty good model as far as what they want to use as their big lead.
Great. So this is just a little bit of architecture that explains how the Google Cloud Platform works. So this is very similar to our current setup. So while we've kind of swapped out our own data centers for Google Cloud, the point is that we can back up endpoints, mobile devices via an agent, and then you have source-side duplication that ends up going directly to the cloud. Or if you're a Drowse customer, it works fundamentally the same way as our current Drowse solution does. The only thing that's really different is where we point and the target, which is at the Google Cloud. All accessible via the central dashboard.
All right, so next item, ransomware detection. Naturally, with the attack yesterday, as well as WannaCry, which was just 5 weeks earlier, and just in general the last 2 years, this is very important. So we were the first in the market to come out with an anomaly detection function, which used the common behavior of ransomware to alert you that, hey, there's something going on in your system. It's probably ransomware. At the very least, it's something that you don't want happening. Well, we took that a step further, and we're actually going to give you an alert based on the specific file extensions we're finding. Now, there are some variants that don't change the file extension, but almost all of them do. And when we see that, we're going to give you an alert. And the reason this is important is because the forensic work that you have to do to figure out what variant, how to handle it, what things not to do, what things to do, it really is very time sensitive. And this is going to help you get to that information that much faster. To talk a little bit about the last attacks, especially the one yesterday, Petya, or not Petya, it was a Petya-like strain anyways. It really just proved our point that we and you have been talking to the market about, which is these large-scale ransomware attacks are not anomalies. They're going to continue, and they're going to continue in rapid succession. So less than 5 weeks after WannaCry, the largest attack in history, we see Petya, which hit 60 different countries, most of which was in Ukraine, but still 60 different countries. And then the interesting part about this one is the first ransomware attack incident I've heard this happening where the ransom option is a non-option, because the flow for paying the ransom here was to email somebody and then they would give you the key. Well, the email provider shut down that email account within the first hour or so of the attack being launched. So there was no pay the ransom option. You literally had to have a backup in place, or you were going to be pretty out of luck. Now, this was a variant that was picked up by a lot of antiviruses, but a lot of times that wasn't the case because it was propagated through an automated update system. It wasn't based with an executable, it was a DLL. So this made it through a lot of advanced security systems, as much as it was caught by some. And it just proves the point. Your only real protection in this case is going to have a best backup and then add the preventative layers thereafter.
The other thing that I would add to that slide and to that commentary is the one thing that ransomware does is the cost of the ransom is often trivial. What is not trivial is the amount of downtime. And so we're not saying that we have the answer. Really, you need a multi-pronged approach to really defend against ransomware, and your clients do too. I mean, that includes AV protection, firewalls, et cetera, but it also requires user training so they can recognize phishing attacks. But the only way to quickly get your systems back, not just individual files, is having a DRAS solution. The average amount of downtime now is about, I think, 13 hours to recover from a ransomware episode, and that dwarfs the amount of actual ransom that you actually have to pay for these things. And so I want you to kind of keep this in mind as we start talking about co-marketing options, because increasingly our partners are leading with ransomware, and you can thank Petya and you can thank WannaCry for making this a page one story, because now your clients have heard about it, right? And so when you walk into their office saying, listen, we have to protect your users, we have to protect your systems, they will know what you're talking about, right? And it's probably been one of the best co-marketing campaigns we've done with our partners for a long time.
Absolutely. So what it looks like is this is the anomaly detection screen, which most of you will be a bit familiar. So it's in the monitoring section, and you can enable this. And what it does is it looks at the file behavior. So we already were recording this information just by nature of seeing what files changed or didn't change. And if there's a statistical anomaly in a particular system, which you can set the threshold for that, if you find that you have a lot of erratic file movements, this is something that will let you know something's wrong. And oftentimes it's malware that's making huge numbers of changes that would trigger such a warning. And pretty much all malware today is ransomware because that's the most profitable option. What we've added is another checkbox to scan and look for particular file types. And this is based off of a database list that's being kept in real time, somewhat open sourced and community driven. So it's something that just again helps identify what variant it is, because that's going to differ in your reaction. You know, WannaCry, you didn't want to touch the machine because then you could actually use the decryption tool. With Petya, you want to pull the plug. You know, as soon as you see your machine blue screen and then it starts to reboot, pull the plug, because the encryption doesn't happen until after the reboot. So each variant has a little different behavior, and being up to date on that is key, and then having this is going to help you along that line. All right, bare metal backup. So we were really excited to announce that Infrascale released its own flavor of bare metal backup alongside the StorageCraft option that we've had for years. And the exciting part about our bare metal backup and also the local backup is not that we have this functionality, but it's where we're taking it. So the critical step to the future of DR is going to be without an appliance. So those smaller customers that can't quite afford it, now they can. Those bigger environments where they have branch offices and you can't quite afford a second appliance for that branch office, you can now get them covered. If you have, maybe some VIPs, you just want to have DR for their laptop, you have an option for that. So this is going to be huge, and we have another poll coming up in a few slides. We're going to be looking for you all to get an early access to this functionality, and we want to get your feedback to make sure that the flows are what you would expect and the functions are there. And this is going to be big for everyone. So we're really excited about this. The way it looks and some of the improvements we've done since the first release of bare metal is we've rebuilt the UI. Before, configuring your bare metal backup was all done in the dashboard, and you kind of had to know your file paths beforehand. Now there's a local UI in the online backup and recovery manager that you can manage, and whether you're setting or up the initial backup or or changing it later, and whether you're doing it in the client or in the cloud, it doesn't matter. They're all synced, so there's not going to be any conflict of priority. The priority is the last setting that was saved. Another thing that we've done to save some time is the first release, you could create a bootable ISO, and then you could take that and mount it so that you could actually have a boot disk, whether it's some network drive or a USB. Now you have the option to directly create a bootable USB or a bootable partition on one of your network drives. So just again, just some things we're doing to help save you time. And again, great feedback from the community getting us there. Then we have a very short list that's actually really includes a very long list of bug fixes. If you want to see the item by item checklist, you can check the release notes in the dashboard. So you go under help, you can see the release notes there. But what we've done here is we've made some adjustments to the use space meter. So those of you that have clients that can't use a cloud and they go point to point, or they set up a secondary appliance in their data center, the use space meter now is showing both the size on disk that would be necessary to manage the physical space, as well as the space prior to dedupe and compression, which is what our whole program is based on. Faster cloud boot. Again, 15-minute RTO is already best in class, and we're already far below that, but we're still doing everything we can to really make this as fast as possible. So changes to many different parts of the system to continue to get that cloud boot as fast as your businesses need it to be, so that they don't have to experience much downtime. We've also made an improvement for all the backup products, whether it's cloud backup or DR, for backup, interruption, and resume. And we already do have a bit of a resume for the ICB if your connection is interrupted for whatever reason. But what really the big part of this release was that we don't have to announce maintenance windows anymore, because us rebooting a backup server no longer affects customer backups. So this is a huge improvement. So you're going to start seeing even fewer maintenance window notices from us, because it's just not going to affect you or your customers. Great stuff there. And again, the firmware updates, again, saving time. When there's a firmware update for your primary appliance, you no longer have to take the time to update your secondary. It'll just automatically do that for you once you update the primary. Again, time saver. All right, now we're at our second poll, and it's also second to last. Are you interested in early access? This is a new thing that we're going to start tracking, and we're just going to keep a list. So if you say yes, maybe, then we'll let you know when we are going to have an early access program available, and you can choose to participate or not. Again, help us help you help your customers type of deal. So this is terrific. I already see a big take on the yes and a smaller take on the maybe, and not many people saying no, so good stuff there. That's about half of you. Dean, anything else on this early access stuff?
No, I think this is part of us trying to get more in a conversation with you. So if we're being really transparent with ourselves, we haven't done a great job as a company communicating with our partners. At least we've heard that, and we understand that. So the idea here is, not only do we want to do these webinars on a regular basis, we actually want to get your feedback on products before they go live, right? So it's more in that vein.
Okay. All right, moving right along, because we still got a bit to cover. Okay, the partner program. Most of you are already in it. Again, the messaging pillars are you're selling the next big thing, which we just covered massively with the Gartner release. Real leads and real co-marketing. So I see a lot of familiar names. Good to see you, Tracy, Ed, everyone on the line that I've worked with. We are really putting a legitimate effort and human effort to helping you generate leads. It's not just lip service where we just send you some documents and some best practices. We're actually right there working alongside you in all these campaigns, and it's in our best interest that you succeed as well. So I just consider you part of the team. Really is, I think it's that simple. And then the other pillar is unprecedented protection, both in terms of the scale of protecting all operating systems, physical and virtual. Those mixed environments are very hard to get a single solution for, we can do that. And also unprecedented in the fact that because we own the cloud and it's our stuff, we're giving you that 15-minute restore time objective as a guarantee. In the program, just a review of what you're getting. Deal registration, which again helps us help you. It also helps avoid channel conflict, whether it's by us or anyone else. And it just will deploy our resources, sales engineering, demo units, the whole thing, anything we can do to help you move that deal along. Sales and technical training. A lot of you on the line, I recognize you've already been through a lot of this, but these are things that don't change. Technology moves fast, and so does the story we're going with. So we do regular trainings all the time. We post them. Implementation support, whether it's your first or your 100th, we don't charge you for this. This is just a matter of, you guys are part of the team, so we're going to treat you like it, and this is good for everyone involved. The NFR program, we redesigned our NFR program to be very aggressive. We want you all to not only be protected, but also eating your own dog food is a good way to have that confidence to sell and get out there in the market, and to show your customers that you're serious when you say this is a requirement or this is the best in class. We use it as well. You have the Partner Resource Center, which the whole team involves in, so it's use cases, sales tools, collateral and banners that you can take and use for your website or any campaigns you want, co-brandable materials you can download in open formats, and really if there's something in there that you'd like that we don't have, again, let us know, and we'll get to it as best we can, as fast as we can. And then of course the referral program. We love to expand the family, and if that comes from you, all the better. And then and to kind of go into detail about how we work with partners, it's not just the best practices. Sometimes it really comes down to just doing the math. And Dean put this together. I'm going to let him go through it because this is really helpful, especially for those of you that have limited marketing capacity or experience, or both.
Thanks, Derek. So there's a lot of acronyms on this slide. So this is essentially a plan that we put together for a new partner of ours, and they had the goal of adding new customers by the end of 2017. Right. So in our world of marketing, in order to get to 50 customers, you have to put the right all the right processes in place to get there. So what we do is we work on a plan with a partner that says this is exactly how we're going to get there. And so it starts with inquiries. So inquiries are really just someone who raises a hand that shows a glimmer of interest in what you're selling, what we're selling together. An MQL is a marketing qualified lead. Typically, 75% of those inquiries become marketing qualified leads. And I have some definitions down below. So now there's a legitimate interest in the solution, whether it be cloud backup or DRaaS. Then we have a sales qualified lead. And again, 30% of those typically convert. Now at this point, they want pricing, they're ready for sales. And then of that percentage, you get down to opportunities and close one. So you may use slightly different terminology in your own business, but the idea is when we can get together with a partner and develop a marketing plan like this, we have a much better chance of reaching both of our goals, right? And so from here, we would say, okay, what's it going to take in July to get to 500 inquiries? And we put together a campaign which could include email, it could include webinars, et cetera, that helps us get to that target. Because unless we get to that target, we don't have any chance of getting to the 5 close one deals. Now, again, this is a pretty simplistic model because there's usually, there's a time delay between inquiry to MQL to SQL, et cetera. That sometimes can be a couple months. But the idea is let's start now, generating inquiries so that we get the close one deals at the end of the month.
This is great. Dean did a great job putting this together. And for those that have worked with me on a couple of events, when we do the waterfall just for our event, a lot of times it's something that you've never seen even with contracting a professional marketing company. So again, we're taking all of our expertise and we're trying to flow it down to you as best we can so that at the end we're all winning. And with that, of course, the way that we track if we're winning or not is register your deals with us. All it does is lets us know not to contact those people, gives you a little cash on the side for some extra meet and greet with the customer, and it also deploys our resources to be available for you. And that's both sales and sales engineering support. So, we're here, full boat for you. Again, kick off the first deployment. For those of you who are new, you're probably in the middle and somewhere along this line where you're getting the technical training, which is something that'll be recurring, and we actually have a schedule every 2 weeks. You get a new technical training on a different part of things or things that have changed. Sales training, same type of thing. Very important to have uh, a cohesive story that you're going to market with. That's important for your customers to hear the same thing from you, as well as for your organization to really understand what the core value is. And so we work with you on that, wrap your value statement around it, and really make it your own. And then the marketing programs. Again, we're looking to help you get your first win, your second win, your 10th win, whatever it is. We're trying to do whatever we can to really generate leads, get people that you can talk to and close some deals. Again, here's a screenshot of the Resource Center full of very helpful information, and again, all available through the dashboard or through the mobile Partner Central application. Some of the new things we're going to be adding is this new DR assessment tool, which is helpful, as well as kind of a campaign 101 that includes the waterfall model. Right now these are being drafted, and a lot of you actually have these in hand in draft form, and your feedback has been great to get us to that final version of it. But these are all tools designed to help you win. Again, Infrascale Partner Central, mentioned this a few times. It's a mobile app that's really designed to simplify how you and your team access the information that is helpful when you're trying to talk to prospects and move a deal through the funnel, or even just to get started in the beginning. You need a landing page, you need some campaign banners. It's all in there. You need use cases, they're in there. We have ebooks. Dean has done a great job on putting those ebooks together and really giving a good story and baseline from which you can move to your customers and really communicate that value and why this is so important. Now, the Market Development Fund program was also a new program that we launched earlier this year, and the MDF, or Market Development Funds, is a program where we want to invest in you to get leads. So it's not so much brand building scenarios that we're looking for, like presence and AdWords, but things like email campaigns, getting a list and putting a campaign together to get those contacts from that list in, doing co-webinars, doing in-person seminars to have a face-to-face chat. We're open to anything. We've done movie premieres, horse races, fishing events, you name it. For those of you who have talked with me, I'm pretty open to anything wacky, zany, awesome, as long as we can put a projected plan together, again, that waterfall model that makes sense. And then we're going to be happy to throw some money your way to help it along. As far as how the co-webinar engagement goes, this has been one of our most successful event types that we've been working with our partners. The content, consulting, training, execution, and presentation, we're going to be there with you at every step of that. So we're going to work as a team on it. And that doesn't cost you a thing. That's just what we're doing to guarantee your success. Lead gen and list development. This is some of the hardest, arguably is one of the biggest blockers to being able to do such an event because of how expensive they can be. We have a terrific relationship with a marketing company that shares the risk of an event going well or not going well, and what that ends up translating to is a very low cost per lead. I've been averaging about $26 per lead, which is epic. Dean, any comment on cost per lead and how good $26 is?
Well, I think enough of the partners do a lot of their own marketing, so they have a sense of how hard and difficult this is. So we're just trying to take a lot of the complexity, ideally a lot of the cost out of the equation. And by the way, even though we're talking about webinars, there's a lot of other things we can do. I mean, we have these assets that can be used for email campaigns. And so it really just a matter of getting together, putting our heads together, and coming up with what makes the most sense for you and your client base.
Right. So we do a lot of things, but generally what we find is an event like a webinar is typically between $1,000 and $1,500 to put on, and that's something that our MDF program is going to support. We usually go about 50-50 on these events, and we're typically turning out between 20 and 30 good leads out of there. And by going through the whole process of putting the campaign together, getting the whole team in line with the messaging and everything, I've actually been seeing a lot of deals coming in that weren't a part of this campaign at all. It's just one of those things that really sets the standard and a nice momentum for your whole organization to just continue winning, even if it's indirectly related to the event we did. So I think a few of you on the line can probably attest to that. Okay, customer referral program. Again, we got friends, you got friends. Let's all be friends, and we'll give you some money for the introduction. So let us know if you have anyone that that you don't mind introducing us to, whether it's a customer, another partner, consultants, whoever it is. We love to talk with them. Okay, and now the final couple slides here. 2017 Summer MDF Contest. So we designed this so that even if you don't win the grand prize, you're really going to be in a better situation anyways. There's no learning or there's no losing. You just learn, and in this case, you're still going to get a reward. The eligibility is you're an active and current partner. Pretty simple. We'll send out this URL that you see at the bottom of the screen. I'll put it in the chat here in a minute as well during the Q&A. Register there. Let your partner success manager know that you're going to be participating. This event is actually backdated to June 15th. Regardless of your entry date, we'll count any deal registrations or deals towards your contest participation. So it doesn't matter if you're just now hearing about it. The grand prize is $5,000 in MDF. You can do a lot with $5,000. $5,000, we should be able to convert into, 5 to 6x that in deals. Second place prize is going to be a free webinar. We have a qualifying, it's not quite a qualifying prize of $500, it's the top 10 percentile. So what we're going to look at is, even if you didn't get first or second, but you really kick some butt, we want to reward you. So contact your partner success manager for more details. The rules are also very simple. We converted it into a point system so that everyone can compete. It's 2 points per deal registration. Pretty easy. So all the terms for deal registration apply, except you get 2 points upon an accepted deal. Make a sale, obvious choice. For this, it's 2 points per $10,000 in total contract value, and we max that out at $50,000. So that way you can't have just one massive deal that blows everyone else out of the water. It would be a 10-point maximum per deal. Does that make sense? So after 50,000, you don't get any additional points. But of course, we love to see bigger deals all the time. So again, easy way. Register deals, make a sale, pretty much the stuff you're already doing, and you're going to get rewarded for it. All right, so we have our final poll question, and I'll leave it up to Dean. Any comments on as we're closing up here and about the contest?
Yeah, I think we covered a lot of ground in an hour, right? And we don't expect you to retain everything, though you'll get a copy of the deck. If you have any questions, whether it's on the product side or on the co-marketing side, just let us know. Derek's, once you finish this poll question, Derek's email will appear on screen. Jot that down. If you have any questions, just let us know.
All right. Looks like, Dean, I'm going to be busy. We're at 87% saying yes, give me more.
Yeah, I think for those that have said yes, I think you'll appreciate the love and attention that you get from this. Hopefully you'll love the results as well. We're always trying to get better. So I think with that, I think we're about to close it out.
Yeah, so that's Q&A, and I have a couple of questions already here that we can take. The first comes from Craig. What restrictions are there with the VNC preview that's built into the browser? Is it view only? So it's actually two parts. So there's a new preview that's right. I should have put a screenshot. That was silly. When you're in the cloud boot screen in the disaster recovery interface, you'll now see a live preview right next to it, and it'll just be a big window. Looks like a little little screen from like an old generation iPod, and it'll show you that it's live and what's happening. But the VNC access built into the browser is full access, so you get full remote access to the machine. All right. Richard has a question for Dean. The online deal reg website shows it expires June 30th for the special $100 rebate program. Will that be extended?
Absolutely. So we'll extend that through the 30th, and we'll probably extend it beyond that as well. It's been pretty successful so far.
Yeah, this is one of those programs I feel like we're going to leave it up as long as it's working. So we know it's working, the more you use it. So the more money you collect, the more money we want to give you. It's kind of a weird relationship, but good for you guys.
So I think we've reached the end of the hour. We've jammed a lot of information in here. Obviously, if you have any questions, let us know. Thanks again for giving us an hour of your time. We know it's valuable, and hopefully we'll see you on our next month's webinar. And if you have any requests that we cover on next month's webinar, just let us know. We'll add it to the agenda. Thanks again. Have a great week and a happy 4th.
Yeah, cheers.